Welcome to Fox News First. Not signed up yet? Click here. Developing now, Wednesday, June 27, 2018, anti-Trump FBI agent Peter Strzok will voluntarily testify before House Judiciary Committee behind closed doors Wednesday. Trump-backed candidates score major victories Tuesday as frequent critic Mitt Romney won his GOP Senate primary runoff in Utah and Gov. McMaster was projected to win the Republican gubernatorial runoff election in South Carolina. Top House Democrat Rep. Crowley was upset in New York's primary by political newcomer and socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. A federal judge orders U.S. Border Patrol authorities to stop separating families at the U.S.-Mexico border and to reunite already separated relatives within 30 days. The Supreme Court's decision on President Trump's controversial travel ban was a tremendous victory for the American people, the president says. The lead story, grilling for Strzok. Peter Strzok, the FBI agent who was removed from special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation after sending several anti-Trump text messages during the 2016 presidential election, will voluntarily appear before the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. Reports emerged over the weekend that Strzok was willing to testify before Congress without an immunity deal, and that he would not invoke his Fifth Amendment protection against self-incrimination. Despite his purported willingness, the agent was subpoenaed Sunday to appear on Capitol Hill at 10 a.m. Wednesday because he would not agree to a specific date. However, the subpoena was no longer valid because Strzok voluntarily agreed to appear for a closed-door interview, Fox News learned. Sources on the Hill told Fox News that the force of a subpoena was not necessary and that the committee plans to bring Strzok back in the near future for public testimony, something President Trump said was necessary. Big night for Trump bumps. Mitt Romney was projected to win his primary runoff in the Utah race to replace retiring U.S. Sen. Orrin Hatch, part of a string of victories Tuesday by Trump-backed candidates. In all, 7 states held primaries or runoffs across the country, with the Utah contest among the highest profile. As his victories piled up, the president weighed in on Twitter, calling Tuesday a big night. Romney, who lambasted Trump as a fraud and con man in the run-up to the 2016 presidential election, has softened his tone substantially since then. Trump endorsed Romney in the Utah race back in February. Voters also headed to the polls in New York, Maryland, Colorado, Mississippi, Oklahoma and South Carolina. Buoyed by a risky, full-throated endorsement by President Trump, South Carolina Gov. McMaster was projected to win Tuesday's Republican gubernatorial runoff election. In New York, another Trump-backed candidate, Rep. Dan Donovan, prevailed over the comeback candidacy of Michael Grimm, who had been convicted for tax fraud, once threatened to throw a reporter off the balcony, and was considered a liability for Republicans. House shocker for Dems, U.S. Rep. Crowley, a fervent Trump foe and chairman of the House Democratic Caucus who was thought by some to be a future Speaker of the House, suffered a shocking primary defeat in New York's 14th House District to a socialist political novice, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez, a 28-year-old Bernie Sanders supporter who has called for the abolition of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE), had gained the endorsement of several left-wing groups, including Move On and the Democratic Socialists of America (DSA). In a statement, Crowley congratulated Ocasio-Cortez on her victory and said he looked forward to supporting her against Republican Anthony Pappas in November. The National Republican Campaign Committee celebrated the defeat of poor Joe Crowley. House Democrats, hoping for a post-Pelosi era, are now left leaderless, NRCC spokesman Matt Gorman said. The only person happier tonight than Nancy Pelosi is the NRCC, and family separations judge rules. A federal judge in California on Tuesday ordered the U.S. Border Patrol to stop separating families at the U.S.-Mexico border and to reunite families already separated within 30 days. Any children younger than 5 must be reunited within 14 days of Tuesday's ruling, U.S. District Judge Dana Sabra in San Diego ruled. Sabra, an appointee of President George W. Bush, also required the government to provide phone contact between parents and their children within 10 days. Amid an international outcry, President Trump last week issued an executive order to stop the separation of families and said parents and children will instead be detained together. Trump's profound vindication. President Trump cheered the Supreme Court's decision Tuesday to uphold the administration's controversial travel ban affecting several mostly Muslim countries, following the ruling on one of the hardest-fought legal battles of his term. Supreme Court upholds Trump travel ban. Wow, Trump tweeted minutes after the court's decision was made public. The 5-4 ruling marks the first major high court decision on a Trump administration policy. The decision upholds the selective travel restrictions, which critics called a discriminatory Muslim ban, but the administration argued were needed for security reasons. At issue was whether the third and latest version of the administration's policy affecting visitors from 5 Muslim-majority nations, known as Travel Ban 3.0, discriminates on the basis of nationality and religion in issuing immigrant visas. Chief Justice John Roberts, who authored the conservative majority opinion, wrote that the order was squarely within the scope of presidential authority under federal law. As seen on Fox News, they call for civility. As progressives become more authoritarian, they seem more convinced than ever that they're fighting actual Nazis, rather than fellow Americans with relatively mild political differences. The more they accuse the administration of extremism, the more extreme they become. Once you decide that the people you disagree with are Nazis, everything's allowed. Why wouldn't you threaten them in restaurants? Or burn their houses down? This could end in tragedy. Tucker Carlson, on Tucker Carlson Tonight, saying the left is showing that it no longer believes its political foes have the same constitutional rights. Watch blame Trump. I think we've got to start getting to some higher ground here. The president has not embodied civility at all. This has started under his watch and unfortunately it's gotten to this point. Rep. Tim Ryan, D. Ohio, on Fox. Maxine Waters, President Trump has long set the tone for incivility. Watch trending. Red Hen owner resigns from Virginia business group after booting Sarah Sanders from restaurant. Amazon should buy CBS to challenge Netflix, analyst says. Chicago bar apologizes for MAGA hats, face tattoos ban, says everyone is welcome. Naked hermit, who lived on secluded island for nearly 3 decades, forced back to civilization. The swamp. Maxine Waters yells at reporters amid scrutiny over harassment call. Get out of here. Reality winner, former NSA contractor accused of leaking documents, pleads guilty. Elaine Chao tells protesters to leave alone husband Mitch McConnell when confronted on immigration. Across the nation, President Trump presents Medal of Honor to widow of World War II veteran Garland Murrow Connor. Wounded eagle rescued by Oregon State Police, transported in cruiser as backseat driver. Deaths. Dumping of nearly 100 baby hammerhead sharks being investigated in Hawaii. Minding your business. Why the U.S. would win a trade war with China. Stocks edge higher, shaking off trade threats. Home sales. Americans made the largest profits in these cities. Ex-Starbucks executive chairman Howard Schultz. Climate change threatens coffee industry. Why healthcare sharing ministry memberships now top 1 million. Fox News opinion. Lauren Green, the Red Hen, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and the Golden Rule. Carol Markovich, do we have to erase the name of Laura Ingalls Wilder to fix history? And who will be next? Brit Hume, Maxine Waters needs to keep a civil tongue and so do we all. Hollywood Squared. Jerry Seinfeld wants ABC to replace Roseanne in The Conners. I hate to see a comic lose a job. History to air a tribute special to late Pawn Stars figure Richard Old Man Harrison. Tommy Lee calls out Howard Stern for blaming him for ex-Heather Locklear's recent troubles. Did you hear about this? Extremely rare Declaration of Independence print goes on display. UFO. Bizarre roll cloud in Tennessee stuns residents. Coldest place on Earth is even colder than scientists thought. Stay tuned on Fox News. Fox. E.T. Sebastian Gorka on the Supreme Court upholding Trump's travel ban. House Majority Whip Steve Scalise on Tuesday's primary results. Actress Danica McKellar on her new children's book, Do Not Open This Math Book, and Fox. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Business Mornings with Maria, 6 a.m. ET. Guests include Peter Adderton, founder and former CEO of Boost Mobile USA, Joel Johnson, Boris on Mannesmann US. Pipe CEO, Scott Wagner, GoDaddy CEO, Mike Huckabee, former ARC governor. Kevuto, Coast to Coast, Noon ET, Jim Damiand, former South Carolina Senator, Richard Carl Gard, Forbes publisher. The Intelligence Report, 2 p.m. ET. Art Laffer, former economic policy advisor for President Reagan. Countdown to the closing bell, 3 p.m. ET. John Hanna, senior counselor for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Scott Harris, Catoctin Creek co-founder and general manager. On Fox News Radio, the Fox News Rundown podcast, the House is expected to vote on an immigration reform bill, 1 week after President Trump's executive order to stop the separation of illegal immigrant families at the southern border. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy discusses Republicans' plan for immigration reform. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld President Trump's travel ban on several mostly Muslim countries in a 5-4 ruling on Tuesday. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern provides insight on the decision's ramifications, plus commentary by Fox News medical correspondent, Drive. Mark Siegel. Want the Fox News Rundown sent straight to your mobile device? Subscribe through Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. The Brian Kilmeade Show, 9 a.m. E.T. Andrew McCarthy on the latest in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation, Jonathan Turley on the string of Supreme Court rulings before summer recess, Howard Buffett on the quest for immigration reform, Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles gives the inside story on his new book Benson. E.T. Senator Ron Johnson discusses the latest in the immigration debate. His departure would lead to the controversial nomination of Clarence Thomas, 1985, the legendary Route 66, which originally stretched from Chicago to Santa Monica. Caliph passes into history as officials decertify the road. 1922, the first Newbery Medal, which recognizes excellence in children's literature, is awarded to The Story of Mankind, by Hendrik Willem van Loon. Fox News First is compiled by Fox News' Brian Robinson. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your day. We'll see you in your inbox first thing Thursday morning.